So the champions you see at the bottom that were played in game 1, no teams can play that going into the rest of the series.
Yep, so you won't see them banned out either, given the fact that they have already been played and cannot be picked. So going into game number 2 of this best of 5 series, Kalista, Skarner, as well as Rumble are the bans on the red side of the map from Weibo Gaming. Nocturne, Caitlyn, as well as Nico are the bans coming out from Anyone's Legend, with Flandre locking in Corki as their first pick.
When's the last time you saw Corki? What's the Corki
Probably
that you remember?
Probably mid lane Corki back when I was still casting, because every Worlds that I was ever a shoutcaster for, it was always the Corki Ezreal meta, and I think the one Worlds where I stopped was when it wasn't the Corki Ezreal meta anymore.
The last time you saw Corki, was it with package? Is that how old you are?
With the package, yes. The last time I saw a professional League of Legends Corki was with the package.
All right. Well, look, we are all here to educate you. Since the changes happened to Corki individually, now his passive is a little bit more boring. Maybe you can call it balanced. Maybe not right now. It's a very strong bot lane pick. It's a great scaling bot lane pick that has a percentage that he just outputs his true damage. So that's one thing to watch out for. He's still relatively the same champion. But yes, he's been banned quite a bit so far at Demacia Cup. We still have some Xiaohu lovers out there. That's a great meme that they have right now in the fans. But yes, Corki is a really strong pick. Getting first pick here, I like it so far from Anyone's Legend.
Let's talk about Corki a little bit more when we go into the match, because I'm very curious about this champion. It's had a very historical significance, not only to the LPL, but also to League of Legends in general. But we do have a lot more of the bans that have come through for game number 2. Rell being picked up with Zhao from the side of Anyone's Legend, and then Renekton, Rakan, and Ahri are the picks coming out from Weibo Gaming. Ahri, quite a signature champion for Xiaohu.
Yeah, it is. Really good on the Ahri in general, and I think the last series that we saw, he was able to put Angel in the dirt in game 2 off of his Ahri pick when both of his side lanes early on in the game were behind. So like, he is a great Ahri player. He is the playmaker for the team, so I think it's a good look, especially if you have Rakan. And I'm looking at Anyone's Legend side, and I was wondering what they would want to pick here, especially with Zhao. I think that Silas would be a good pick, but it got banned. So both Silas and Orianna get put in the dirt, and I'm wondering what Anyone's Legend is going to put for Shanks here. Maybe the LeBlanc pick. I know he's a great LeBlanc player. I'm not sure if he's willing to pick it here. That will just make it so their early game is, the early and mid game is pretty important, because they will just basically heavily rely on Corki in the later portions of the game.
Lots of 80 carry bands be coming out from Anyone's Legend, so Misfortune as well as Zaya are the 2 bands of choice, pushing over the next pick to Weibo Gaming. So you're expecting to see something here that can go toe-to-toe against Ahri from the side of Anyone's Legend? Is that what you think is going to be picked up?
I was thinking LeBlanc, just because I respect Shanks LeBlanc so much, even if it is sort of out of meta, just a little bit in competitive. Akali is another good one too. Just an assassin. Anything that can play around with his Zhao. You wouldn't want to necessarily put a control mage. You can. Like, if you wanted to play in his ear, you could. But I think then you would just be a target for both Ahri, Rakan in fights. So there we go. It's going to be the Akali pick. So it's going to be an exciting one. You have Shanks and an assassin working alongside Tarzan. The early game is going to be pretty fun to watch.
Right. Akali being picked up, most likely going into the mid lane against Xiaohu. Whereas Ezreal was the pick of choice in Weibo Gaming. We cursed it, Raz. We said Ezreal Corki at the start of this, and we're getting Ezreal Corki in the bottom lane.
That's true. That's true. That's all you, all right? And at least both of them are really safe AD carries. So if you're going to have a composition with Zhao and Akali and Rell that wants to go into and engage, then at least Corki is going to be pretty safe to just be going front to back, and the same can be said about Ezreal. So last pick that did get locked in was the Poppy. Good amount of denial on dashes that steadfast presence provides. So it's going to be harder for, honestly, even for Jayce, but specifically for Akali and Zhao. So I'm interested to see how Tian works on this pick. I was expecting maybe a Viego or something, because he's such a good Viego player. But this one's going to be more, just better for the comp.
Yeah, Poppy in the jungle here, with the comps being locked in for both sides. What, again, same thing as the first game. What do we expect Anyone's Legend to be trying to do with the composition that they've picked up here?
For me, it's going to be all around your mid lane. It's always going to be around playing on sides, especially if you have Shanks on the Akali with Zhao. Your 2v2 should be really strong. And even though, yes, you have a pretty mobile pick in the Ahri across from you, I would 100% expect anyone's Legend to play a 1-3-1 for the most part. And when fights happen, Akali will be taking flank. So I really just want to see anyone's Legend really level up in terms of defending their vision that they've already placed, or setting up if they have a lead around an objective so Akali can be a threat on flank. That's what I'm expecting. That's what we need from her.
That sounds like a difficult task, especially given how well Weibo were able to control the vision in that first game.
Yeah.
And when we look at Weibo's composition, do you think that that's going to play well into what anyone's Legends picked up?
I think so, especially the Poppy. The Poppy is such a crazy pick sometimes, because some team fights it looks useless as hell, but in this game, its steadfast presence is always going to find value, because you see a dash on nearly every pick from anyone's Legend side, and it can just pop out the Akali with its ulti, or even the Zhao, and make it an uneven number fight. So I think Weibo has a lot of tools, and in fact, I would give them the advantage. As much as I do like the anyone's Legends composition, I think it's fun. I think it can really accentuate Shanks' skills as an assassin player. But the composition from Weibo has a lot of answers to what anyone's Legends is providing.
Does Jayce's Hammer Slam count as a dash? Because if so, then I believe that is everyone.
Yeah,
that would have
exactly.
a dash going to be blocked here.
Yeah.
So, nice little pick from Tian in the jungle. Tian, he's been playing League of Legends since he was 13, by the way. When he was 13, he was already on the Chinese super server.
That's crazy.
My goodness. I think I was still trying to collect all the Pokemon when I was 13. You know, could barely beat the Elite Four, and here's this guy playing on the super server.
Oh yeah, I was just scratching my belly watching any show, like cartoons, anime. I was not doing anything productive in my life.
Looking at the level 1s here, Light is going towards the top side of the map, get some good damage onto Flandre, knocking him out of the lane. So Renekton and Ezreal are on the top side of the map, whereas Rakan and Ahri are in the mid lane, and Poppy is pushing the bottom side of the jungle. So early teleport coming out to the mid lane here, and it's going to be Flandre jumping into the mid lane. So what's going on here, Raz? It's very rare to see two different champions that need to farm in the same lane, with Renekton and Ezreal top side of the map, and now we're also seeing Jayce and Akali in the same lane.
Yeah, essentially they're just attacking Jayce in a swap, because I mean, he's even going grasp. He recognizes that a swap is going to be inevitable, and so he just needs a wave to be able to farm off of. So expect him to, at some point, once the wave starts crashing, to be bot lane. He's already moving towards it, and then denying potential for like Flandre to TP bot lane, because if he does TP bot lane to catch the wave, then they should be angling for a dive. Here comes the TP. Rakan is here. He's level 2 actually. So I think the dive is actually really hard. They might still play for it, but I'm looking at Breathe and saying that he should be able to catch this wave. So it's just going to be even harder for Jayce. Now we're seeing Akali TP up top lane, so then Jayce can catch mid lane wave because he TP'd mid lane. So like basically, they're just trying to find a wave for Flandre to play off of, and though they burnt their TPs really early on to make it happen, at least he has mid lane wave.
I like this. They gave all the CS over to Light on Ezreal, so Breathe wasn't able to pick up any of the CS, sacrificed some experience for the Renekton, which would not have hurt Light to begin with because he would have been sharing CS in the bottom lane anyway. Take some damage, but easily dashes away. Now they're sharing the bottom side of the map, so Corki and Rell going up against the Renekton as well as the Rakan. But there's a lot of teleports as well. There's teleports on Ezreal, there's teleports on Xiaohu. Breathe was the only one who used his. Han does have to flash away from a little bit of an engage from anyone's Legend, but look at Flandre, he just hit level 3.
That's what I was getting to too. I think I love the fact that you pointed out the TPs, because that's the advantage that I'm seeing here. Is that because Shanks and Flandre both had to TP to actually make the lane livable, now you don't have any mistakes if you're Flandre. If you get poked at, as he is, by Xiaohu, he's going to lose a lot here, so now they're helping him out.
Xiaohu does get ganked in the middle lane, takes a bit of damage, but a good flash gets him away from any of the major crowd control elements that would have locked him down in that lane. So giving Flandre some breathing room, but only 16 CS being picked up by Jayce. Xiaohu has been in this lane almost the entire time, only burning his flash there, still has his teleport available. So Weibo really trying to dictate what the lanes look like. Flandre was literally walking up and down the map for the first 3 minutes of this game, and still having a hard time here trying to push out the wave all the way to Xiaohu's turret.
Yeah, and it's good from anyone's legend side that they basically came in to try and bail Jayce out of this lane. He needed that. If it was just an isolated lane, Xiaohu is only going to get a stronger and stronger lead. He might even turn that into a dive angle onto the Jayce, and you know, he's just going to lose even more CS. So this is what happens basically if you try to be a top laner that wants to play carries. If you want to play Jayce and have fun, you get instantly stepped on in a lane swap situation. And so at least they're able to get him farming, because if we're comparing him to Breathe, you know, they're both able to farm decently. The one I think that took the biggest brunt of all of this is Shanks, because he had to TP top lane into in a 1v2 side lane. And he's the one that's now struggling, and they're losing plates right now. So overall, Weibo is the team that's ahead.
There's no major gold lead yet, a couple hundred gold for Weibo at the moment, but it does feel like they have that big tempo advantage and the experience advantage at the moment. Flandre only just hitting level 5, Breathe was able to do the same there. Light and Hung are slightly ahead of Hope and Kael. Hope and Kael only just popped over to that level 5 mark, so seems like Weibo might have a small tempo advantage that they can use to move into these next objectives. Xiaohu hits level 6. Grubs spawn, and the Infernal Dragon is up and alive at the moment, so this might be their window of opportunity to try and snowball a little bit more than just a couple of hundred gold from the other game lead.
Yeah, and just looking topside, you can see that Shanks is just kind of playing on the edge. Both teams want to fight for these grubs. One is already taken down. Let's see if a fight occurs here.
They are going to fight. Tarzan gets 2 grubs before any fights take place. Xiaohu dashes into the fight. The level 6 Ahri doing a lot of damage, getting to the back lines. Kael is one auto attack away, but he doesn't go down. First blood is going to go to the side of anyone's legend. Hope picks that one up. Grubs get it picked up by anyone's legend as well. And we were singing the praises of Weibo's setup, but there was none there. It was reactionary to anyone's legend.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great... It looked like a good collapse coming in. But I just love the fact that, you know, both Kael and Tarzan had great focus in that team fight. Overall, at first, Kael got blocked. I mean, he literally got denied on his engage. But the moment Ahri joined in the fight, they were instantly on top of it. But yeah, Renekton was actually taking a pretty long journey to the fight, so he was not in this fight at all.
Yeah, you can see Renekton on the minimap still moving towards the top side there for Weibo Gaming, whereas anyone's legend, they had everybody in that fight, and with all of that damage being thrown onto Kael, that's what a Rell support is there to do primarily. Take that damage first and then get away, or take that damage and pop all of the initiation and crowd control you want and support the team. And Weibo Gaming just felt like they had such a nice setup in the early game, controlling the lanes, making sure that Flandre was not allowed to go where he wanted to go in his Jayce lane. But anyone legends were the ones that were able to set up for that first spawn of the grubs. They pick it up. Infernal Dragon is still alive, and now they've swung it back in their favor. They have the gold lead. They were able to pick up those grubs. They got that first blood as well. Seems like they are the ones that can now start to take control of the map.
Exactly. This is a really fun game. The fact that anyone's legend was able to recover off of the swap to get Jayce a decent setting in a lane. It was tough for him, but then they came in and helped him. Both Tarzan and Kael did a great job of being able to bail him out, and then being able to commit towards grubs. Weibo wanted to take that fight. They didn't have Breathe for it. They really paid the price for it. So overall, I'm giving a lot of credit to Tarzan as a player. Like, obviously, it's a team game, but I think he has really slotted into this team nicely. Let's see if they can get the pick on Xiaohu.
Xiaohu tries to dash away, does get locked down. Lots of damage coming out from Hope. One big bomb, not going to be enough. Lives with just over 100 hit points. So small gank tops out of the map from the AD carry and support. That does mean they'll knock Xiaohu out of the lane. Hope might even stop him from going back to base here with an ultimate.
He stopped him.
Almost gets it. One more! Flashes forward. 2 games in a row. Hope has been this aggressive. Gets the kill onto Xiaohu, but now he has to try and get away from the rest of the team. He might just die to the turret here if no one touches him. Oh, Ahri still gets the kill. Looks like Xiaohu got a bit of damage on him a little bit earlier with that ultimate.
Oh my god, Hope is a G! I mean, these last 2 series, he has just been popping off. Even in the last game, the loss that they had, he was the best player on the team. So, I don't know, man. Hope has actually just been a different kind of beast.
Yeah, bit of a greedy recall from Xiaohu as well, and Hope wasn't afraid to take advantage of that, caught sleeping a little bit. Here's a replay of that. They were able to get quite a bit of damage onto this turret. He just went for it. He didn't care.
He was, yeah, I think the intent was just to try and stop him from backing, but that was the big one from his ulti. And so able to flash, get the auto off, get the kill on towards Xiaohu. Yes, they collapse on him and get him, but Xiaohu right now is just a bit behind. He's 2 deaths, of course. Oh, wait a minute. He's investigating. Okay. I don't know why. I thought there was someone in there, but he was just making sure. But yes, the focus for me is definitely on Hope. I think he's been playing incredible League of Legends for the past 2 series, and I think if he finds this consistency during the season, anyone's Legend is definitely going to be more than just a dark horse. So it's great to be able to see, I think, the growth that he has had as a player throughout his career.
Well, we wanted to talk about Corki, and I mean, we have the Corki Ezreal matchup. Ezreal's built 3 long swords, but it doesn't look like the team's going to let us talk about them just yet as they go for a bit of a skirmish as the second round of grubs spawn. So we'll dive into that bottom lane matchup later. Weibo are setting up for the grubs this time around. They're the first to get to it. Light's going to get some damage on it as well. Tarzan jumps him in from the bushes, so Ezreal already down to below half hit points. Hung has to disengage. Tian taking a lot of damage as well. They're trying to pick up as many of the grubs as possible before disengaging. Anyone's Legend look really healthy. Light stuck inside the pit, forced to flash away. Tian trying to flash away as well. Tarzan goes over the wall, snipes him with his spear. Continues the rest of the fight. Hung is now caught behind the turret. Breathe is there as well. Anyone Legend are looking like they're trying to set up for a dive. Finding Tian inside of his own, inside his own jungle. Kael trying to keep them there. Breathe pops the ultimate to force a fight and try and get the rest of his team away. Tian knocks him down to the wall. Xiaohu now joining this one. Pops the ult, gets one. Shanks has gone into the back line. Kael has taken a bit of damage. Flandre now wants to rejoin this fight too. Getting good amount of crowd control down. Hope jumps in. Double kill being picked up. Triple kill for Shanks. Akali is starting to pop off. Light now getting into melee range. Gets the shutdown. Gets a nice little bit of extra gold. And what went from a nice pickup here from anyone's Legend turned into a bloody chaotic skirmish at the end.
Yeah, anyone Legends is putting their fist up and they're ready to fight. Like, you can just taste the bitterness of an ex, and it's Tarzan. The ex going up against his former team. He knew they won that team fight, and he was like, you know what? I want more than grubs. I want them. So, taking a look at this fight, at first I was like, wow, Light is taking a lot of damage. I thought that anyone's Legend was actually going to be coming in a deficit in this fight because it was Jayce who was answering last. He was coming in the TP, but Light was already really low. Tian ate the chunk right after Light, so they had to both flash out of that. And you would think they would just stand by and take the grubs. Tarzan had another idea coming as he was able to snipe Light.
Beautiful, beautiful re-engage from anyone's Legend. And it turned into this chaotic skirmish where Weibo just said, you know what, we're just going to fight.
I think it was good from Weibo to take this fight because Jayce and Corki weren't a part of it at the start. Allowed them to be able to get some picks at the beginning. But yeah, then Hope joins alongside Flandre and the rest of the fight was easy. But Breathe is being engaged on.
Oh, this is the LPL that I love. Non-stop action. Can't even go through a full replay. Anyone's Legend gets to jump onto Breathe on the top side of the map. Whereas the rest of Weibo is going to try and see if they can continue to chip away at this bottom lane outer turret.
Yeah, yo, Fish.
Gonna...
Oh,
yeah.
Never mind.
Hello. Hello.
Okay. Never mind.
No one
I
can see
lied.
him. He's fine.
Okay, he's good. Okay, my point that I was gonna make is like, it feels like not much has changed since you were in the LPL because it's
oh no.
the one thing I was mad about when I was with you was that it would turn into a replay, into a fight, into a replay, into a fight, and there'd be like no room for you to breathe.
Buddy, I come from Southeast Asia. This is a Tuesday. In fact, this is called a snooze fest compared to the games that I watch.
That sounds like the description of your casting, buddy. That
is well deserved. You know.
Hey, wait a minute! Don't put yourself down.
Fair.
I'm supposed to do that.
You know, Raz, I might just retire after this. Be like, see you. Just
I
like
thought
the
you
first
already
time, because
retired.
you're such a mean person to me all the time, Raz. I don't
Hey,
know why I put up with you.
Don't appeal to public sympathy. That's not gonna work here.
I'm going to appeal to all of Twitch chat. It's your fault, Raz. But meanwhile, in this game that we should actually be talking about, it is a small lead for the side of anyone's Legend. They have been able to turn around what looked like a disaster of a start for them, where Weibo was controlling the map, and it just feels very different from Weibo compared to Game 1. Game 1, all of that vision you talked about, all of that control. Look at the
Yeah.
vision at the moment for Weibo, barely covering anything, and there are 2 objectives on the map to play around.
I think this draft is significantly better, even though I'm leaning towards Weibo's draft. I mean, even like some of the people who are out in Twitch chat right now, some of them are a little bit more of a believer in anyone's Legends chat, and it's just like in draft I'm in, and it's because it is a lot easier to execute from Shanks and Tarzan's perspective. It was going to be hard for Flandre, but he was able to get out early game. That being said, another team fight's on the horizon. TP coming in from Renekton.
Yep, TP is coming in. Flandre looking to join the flight. Ahri was pushed away by Shanks, and Tian knocks one out of the park. So, Weibo going to start this fight with a numbers advantage. Kael taking a lot, has to disengage from the rest of this fight. Tian will pick up the Rift Herald. Xiaohu joining the fight, forced to double dash away. Tarzan's low, so is Kael, but he's looking to try and see if he can reinitiate. Hope trying to lead the front lines, trying to get as much damage down as possible. Shanks going to go around the left side of that red pit, getting good damage onto Tian, who's forced to flash over towards their side of the jungle. So Weibo don't lose anyone, which means they got what they came for with that Rift Herald.
Yeah, they're in and out. I will say, though, just seeing Hope basically playing on a knife's edge of that last fight. Tian was willing to re-engage, but he realized that AL was playing a little bit too good on the end of it. But still, focus on Tian. Take a look at how he's able to sneak this. They don't even know he was there. The man Hex Flash into the pit, was able to knock Tarzan out and take the Herald for himself. That man is crazy.
Really well played from Tian to make sure that he can secure this fight. And it was so different from the first skirmish we saw around the Grubs, where it felt like Tarzan had the flank onto Light, was able to poke someone out nice and early. This time it felt like it was well controlled from Weibo instead. They are able to do the exact same thing this time around that we saw from their dragon control in the first game, where they set up very nicely, take away that elemental dragon, and nothing much that anyone's legend could do about that pickup from Weibo. Tarzan is going to try and reinitiate against 2 players. He's got Kael down here to deal a bit of crowd control, but it's just a silly fight over a frog instead.
Yeah, I mean, coming into this series for me, it's about both these junglers. As I say that, Hong has to get out of there. And I think they'll be completely in the clear, because both these junglers are, you know, some of the best in the league, easily. Tian was an MVP in summer. That being said, still really angling for fights. It's a back and forth. Whereas Tarzan has just been globally recognized as one of the best junglers in the world, and even though he has some consistency issues when it comes to an international event, people may be holding that LNG run a little bit too close to heart, he has just been really uplifting teams that he joins. That was the case when he was on LNG. It was the case when he was on Weibo. And now he's going up against his old team, now wearing an Anyone's Legend jersey. So I'm really excited to see how he does throughout this series and maybe put them in a position to go to the finals.
So am I seeing this right? Has Jayce picked up Undying Despair as his first
Oh
item?
my god! I have never seen Tank Jayce. Sorry guys, I'm the uncultured one here.
Raz, I have not been casting for years. 5 years to be exact. But even I feel like this is strange.
Look, I am an open-minded individual. Flandre has always been the mad chemist. He's always been a creative person. And he's ready to cook. He's here to cook.
You're not wrong.
You know, like, I think that's what people want. They want to see the Flandre of old that's willing to try crazy, unusual things, and I'm sure this has been played in solo queue. I personally haven't seen it, and I'm willing to learn.
I am very curious about this, but yes, you're not wrong. Flandre historically has been the man that not only picks the unorthodox champions, but builds some very unorthodox things on them as well. So a bit of a tank Jayce for Flandre here.
Is this tier then a Fimbulwinter? Is that what he's going for? Because I thought that was going to be a Manamune, and I guess I'm just wrong. I'm just learning at this point onwards.
Well, I think we're going to find out at some point. Hope, though, you can see how much damage he's dealing to Light just in a very, very small back and forth engage. He has his Manamune complete with that Triforce, so it's Ezreal still just holding on to those components, so slightly behind, and Hope 1,200 gold up so far. He's been playing so well for Anyone's Legend, and even in that last game that they lost to Weibo Gaming, we highlighted him as one of the players that stood out on the losing side, and he's continuing to show form in this game where they are currently leading by about a 3,000 gold lead.
Absolutely. As much as everyone's interest is peaked on the build and play of Flandre, Hope is the real carry for this team and has been, I think, for a few games now. So, especially now that he's on the Corki pick, one of the most OP AD carry picks right now in the patch, and he has like a decent amount of front line. The front line being said Jayce and Rell. I think he's going to be doing great for himself. And the real question now from Weibo's side is who is going to be the one to threaten him?
Well, Tank Jayce is going to try and initiate here against a Renekton as Baron spawns, hitting the 20-minute mark of this match. Which means Rift Herald is going to have to go out. Hung jumps into the Rift Herald and tries to steer this one around. Let's see where he's going to go with this. Where are we going, Raz? Where's he trying to take this one?
Here we go. He's out of here. He's just leaving.
Into a wall? Okay, cool.
Yep.
That was interesting. I'm guessing just trying to keep him alive a little bit longer, maybe?
Use his Batmobile to get out of there, and he could have just used it to get any bit of damage on mid lane. So it's going to go down. So it's the saddest Rift Herald.
He just wanted to drift a little bit, it seems, but
yeah.
no use of the Rift Herald from Weibo Gaming, so they do secure that objective earlier, and with some nice moves from Tian being able to help them disengage, they get that, but they don't really get too much out of it, which means anyone's legend still hold on to this lead, and like you were talking about during picks and bans, it seems like they're the ones that are going to scale quite well going into the late game as well.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident in, at least with the lead that Corki has, that they can carry this through. That being said, they don't have first touch on the objective. So it's going to be a little harder for them to fight into Weibo's vision. As you can already see, completely dark here. That's going to be the responsibility of Kael to be able to walk into the line bush, and they're going for it.
Dragon spawns, Hung takes a bit of damage. Breather's in the back line's already popped his ultimate. He's able to jump on top of Shanks, gets a lot of people crowded around this Renekton. Not able to heal too much back up though, but Hung gets that first kill onto the support. The rest of Weibo Gaming are taking a lot of damage. Anyone's legend is trying to collapse now. Here comes Corki, Hope gets one. Shanks takes down the rest with a second triple kill of the game for Shanks. What a fantastic play from AL. They're going to take a lot out of that big team fight.
Perfectly executed by Shanks. That was insane to be able to get the triple kill there. But I think the start of the fight is where the true gold was. Because, by the way, Xiaohu was at like blinking red HP bars before the fight even began. Hope really punished him, so he was not going to be able to participate. And then he joined the fight, and it was just basically a 5v4 from there. So just take a look as Hope was going 1v1 versus Xiaohu and completely pushed him out. So sure, he had to pop ulti, he had to get out of there, and it was easy for them to then move on towards Breathe and then to just take this fight front to back.
And then from there, it was the Hope and Shanks show. Look at this. Hope decides to dive back on in. Shanks able to get all of these kills. Woo!
Wow.
Just cinematic it was. With that, they take the mid lane out of turret. They take down Baron as well. And suddenly that small lead from AL has turned into a nice large lead. It was a Fimble Winter, by the way, that was picked up by Jayce. So this is Tank Jayce.
Yes, it is. And by the way, that last fight, a 3-man slow with his hammer Q. So I'm just going to put that out there. The utility is there. I make light of it, but he's doing his job this game. He's doing incredibly well at playing the role of the frontliner.
It is working. It must be something that is going around in solo queue or something.
Yeah.
I've never seen a tank Jayce ever. In my years of casting before this, never. So this is very interesting. Meanwhile, Breeze got himself in a bit of a sticky situation. He's even going to pop his ultimate to try and heal up a bit more. Shanks is going to have to chase him all the way to his base. It looks like he might actually catch up in time to deny the execute, but at this point it just means that there's going to member down for Weibo Gaming. He does get executed. Which is nice, but still, that's a player down for the next 37 seconds. They do secure a dragon for themselves, but AO are now going to have the opportunity to continue pushing for these turrets with Baron buff available for all of their players.
Okay, these fights are exciting. I need to calm down. I know I have neighbors, and it's 2:30 a.m., so I gotta relax a little bit.
Your neighbors don't matter. It's okay. Don't worry about it.
You know what? I agree. Okay, to hell with their sleep.
they're going to try and go for a fight here. Tarzan takes a lot of damage to start the fight, but Light went a little bit too aggressive. Tank Jayce is in the backlines and gets the kill onto Light. The rest of Weibo Gaming is slowly falling. Tian trying to keep his backline alive. Xiaohu trying to deal as much damage as possible. Breathe comes back, but it's a little bit too late for the Crocodile. Shanks has already picked up one. They're just trying to do their best to keep them here, trying to chip down AL as much as possible. Aggressive play from Hope again. Gets to the backlines, gets good damage, kills another. And with this Baron buff, they might be able to continue pushing forward. Xiaohu keeping the team alive a little bit longer by taking down Corki a bit too aggressive. And they're still trying to defend this Nexus. They might actually be able to do so, despite it being such a big lead for AL. Weibo Gaming live to fight another day.
A bit too aggressive. They're playing behind their Nexus turrets. That was insane. The confidence from Hope and Flandre are through the roof. So yeah, they've delayed the game a little bit more. They tried to ham fist this one, as you can see. The moment Tarzan found his target, he went straight for Light. The rest of the team was down to follow. A great engage from Kael. And even though they lost Corki off of the Poppy ulti, they thought that they were strong enough to be able to get another pick. I mean, Xiaohu did use his last ult charge, so maybe they could have happened. But the moment Hope got yeeted out, they should have played back. But they feel like they're so ahead, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I feel like when they get this next pick onto Breathe was when Hope just went a little bit too far here.
Yeah.
They could have been pushing that Nexus a bit more. But it's still a win for them. They still traded it was much more in their favor in comparison to Weibo. They were able to take down a Nexus, an inhibitor turret. They were able to take down an outer turret before that, and now they can take another inner turret in the bottom lane this time. So still pushing that momentum. They have about a 9,000 gold lead to work with, which is substantial 26 minutes into the game.
Yeah, can you say that one more time? How much gold was that?
Is it 9,000? Did I get it wrong? Can I do math?
No, you got it right. You got it right. I just want to make, because like at this point they're so far ahead, it doesn't matter how much of a troll that last fight was. They're just confident at this stage. So it's going to be on Weibo to find a miracle here. They're going to try and defend this inner turret.
Let's see what they can do. Hope does take quite a bit of damage, but again, there's nothing much that Weibo can really do. Hung's forced to back away. Tian already knocked down. Flandre gets that kill. Shanks is going into the back line to keep the rest of them occupied, and I think this is all over here. AL slowly knocking down these turrets, slowly creeping towards the Nexus. Hope does flash away from the true shot barrage to keep himself alive. That's the second inhibitor turret going down. Hung looking to reinitiate for Weibo Gaming, is able to charm 2. Light coming back with a bit more hit points this time around. Weibo trying to put on their last stand. Shanks takes a lot of damage. Kael, Hope, and Shanks all very low. The support's going to sacrifice themselves so that the rest of the team can try and run away. And Weibo do defend their base one more time, but they lose a second inhibitor in doing so.
Yeah, I mean, Anyone's Legend is playing really confident here. They lost 2 members for that. So I'm just going to put it out there. This game is still losable. As hard as it is to believe that, you know, as much as it is like a 9K gold lead, it kind of concerns me that Anyone's Legend is still playing on a knife's edge like this. Just take a look at Flandre on the back half of this fight. But at the start of this fight, Light does go in. It makes it a pretty easy target for Anyone's Legend to try and get him, because the fact that he uses E to get into the fight made it confident for the rest of Anyone's Legends to walk up. But yeah, and then you look at Flandre, because the moment they wait for the next wave to take that inner turret, that was a really close Ezreal ulti. He just starts going for the Nexus turret. Flandre just does not care at this stage, and he's trying to elongate the fight when the team is trying to play slow for the inhibitor.
It's so strange to watch Jayce just take so long to die when he's caught up in the middle of the entire opposition. But like you mentioned, he got some good damage onto that Nexus turret, and they got the inhibitor turret, so now with the second Baron spawning, Anyone's Legend are looking to try and gain vision control over the top side of this map, especially around the red buff pit of Weibo Gaming's jungle. They do just that. You know, if I was to pick who player of the game would be, I would give it to Hope. But given that Shanks has gotten 2 triple kills in the game, I think that it's absolutely going to him. Like, I don't see how he doesn't get player of the game if they continue on this path and win the match. But deep down inside, I want Flandre to get it. Just give
I agree
it to
with you.
Tank Chase.
I agree with you. Just give it to him.
We might see one final stand here as AL look to try and take Baron for the second time.
But look at their
Teleporters
base. Like,
come in.
super minions are going through. They're taking the fight.
They're going to take the fight. Kael takes a lot of damage and is the first to fall. Light gets that kill. Shanks now might be caught out here. Xiaohu doesn't get the charm. Good Zonya's being used to dodge the crowd control. But Renekton goes through. Tarzan taking damage. It's Hellboy's not backwards. Get the heck out of here, Flandre! You are not allowed to backdoor today! Light then goes back to base and said to defend the Nexus, but that is a one-team fight for Weibo Gaming. They kill 3 players from the side of anyone's legend, and nobody falls on their end. Now, looking for a second fight, Flandre going into the front lines. They lock down Hope. He gets 1 under Tian. This is a 2-on-4! Tank Jayce don't care! He don't care about your feelings at all! Hope now getting into the back lines, dashes forward. Flandre is still alive. A triple kill being picked up by Hope. Can he get it? He gets the quadra, dodges the 2-shot barrage, and somehow they're back in this 2-on-4.
That was insane from anyone's legend. They recognized that Ezreal TP'd, A, as a reaction to Jayce's TP, but B, because the super minion waves were just pounding on the Nexus turrets, and they felt confident that they can take the fight. As long as Hope played to the edge, played to his limits, kited back properly, they could win it. And Flandre was so tanky, they had to deal with him. That was an absurd fight for anyone's legends.
This was the first part, Raz. Walk us through this where Weibo, they get fantastic picks here and stop the Baron.
Yeah, so anyone's legends, I mean, first of all, Kael is already deep in there without much support, and Tarzan tried to come in and bail him out alongside Shanks, so it was like basically both of them were getting picked off bit by bit. If anyone's legend played this one slowly, the super minion waves would have done his trick. But then they catch a whiff of Flandre doing this, completely took him out. But by the way, the TP was already being channeled by Light, so the moment he is there to defend the Nexus turrets, Flandre recognizes that they can take this fight with how strong Hope was. And the moment Hope joins the fight, Tian recognizes it, Breathe recognizes they have to get on top of Hope, but I mean, he's too strong at this point. And Xiaohu doesn't really have the facilities without ulti to be able to help him get to the back line, to be able to kill Hope. So that was an insane 2v4, and they were able to get the job done.
Just doing some napkin math, it looked like Jayce healed about 1,400 hit points in that small skirmish, just from the combination of his items and the Grasp of the Undying there. Was it Grasp that he has? Yes, Grasp of the Undying.
Yeah.
I saw 2 pops of 400 and multiple of hundreds, and it looked like about 1,400 health being healed by Tank Jayce. That was insane. And Hope, as always, playing out of his mind. Now he might get MVP. He got a quadra kill. Now he might get that MVP status.
And now he has a chance. The LPL stats team, they love the big numbers. When you see someone getting a triple kill, they'll go for him. But here comes another fight. They're going for it.
They're going for the fight. Shanks is able again. They Hope dashing forward. Does get locked down by Breathe, but doesn't take too much damage. Shanks has already taken down Tian. Now making work of the rest of the back line. Weibo going to try and group up. Light is here to get damage onto Flandre, but he gets knocked back himself. Hope wants to try and find a way back into this one, but needs his front line in there. Tarzan does that job. Splits up the map. Xiaohu now locked in the backside. There goes the AP carry. Nothing much left for Weibo's side to get damage down besides Light. Trying to find a way to poke out Hope. He goes forward. Light being really aggressive to see if he can knock one out, and that's what he needs to do to keep them alive. Isn't able to do so. It is a 2-for-1 trade. Tian and Xiaohu being traded for Shanks.
Whoa, these are crazy back-to-back fights that anyone legend is having here. And I think a lot of it is that they're just willing to take any fight that's being thrown their way. And in that one, they came out victor. It was pretty dicey with the Poppy ultimate that came through, and it was also pretty dicey, even with an amazing engage from Kael. The Poppy ulti really made it difficult to follow up on. Is that a steal?
Can you get it?
Ooh.
Not quite. Close. Not quite. But they do pick up Baron buff for themselves. So this is an interesting game. That gold lead is still about the same. You know, 8 or 9,000 in favor of anyone's legend. But the fights haven't really felt like that, Raz.
Hope has been getting stronger and stronger. He's able to finish a Bloodthirster. And I've been taking a glance.
At max items.
Oh, there it is. He's completely strong now. Maybe, I don't know if he's got an elixir, but that's all he would need to be as strong as he possibly can get. And I've been taking a gander at the chat here and there. There's been one staunch Hope defender that's trying to call him out as the best AD carry in the league, where everyone else is booing that man. Just taking a look at this game, he's making a case for something. I'm not going to say he's the best AD carry. Hell no. But he's definitely the best player in the game. That's for damn sure.
10, 2, and 8 on this Corki, and like you mentioned, scaling. He has that true damage from his passive now online. You can see just one tap onto Tian. That's about a tenth of his hit points gone. Life though, he just gets destroyed. Shanks is able to get a one-on-one kill in the mid lane against the AD carry from Weibo Gaming, and they're running away. I don't think there's anything that can do that. That's a pretty anticlimactic ending with the AD carry getting caught out. Big team fights going to ensue, but there's nothing much that Weibo can do at this point. Hope is too damn strong. Gets a double kill. Flies in for the triple. Hung the last person left alive. They might even try and dive in for that quadra, but no, they don't. Ending the game, tying up the series 1-1.
Are you not entertained? I was a little concerned after game 1 that Weibo would be walking away with this one. But now Anyone's Legend ties it up with a damn exciting game. How are you feeling, Fish? You get thrown back into casting, and then you have to cast that. A back-to-back team fight.
It's like nothing's ever changed. It's still the LPL that I remember. But I came into this game doing the bit of research that I have done, thinking this looks like it's going to be Weibo's 3-0. And this completely changed that. I mean, even the first game, if you realistically look at the way AL took on Weibo, it just looked like Weibo had complete control. They beat them to the punch for everything, had better setups, and it seemed like going into game 2 they were going to do the same thing with the cheeky swaps that they made and having a better control of the map to start the game. But then you get towards the mid game and AL say we can do the exact same thing, and now it looks like this could be anyone's series. I still feel like Weibo is a favorite in this best of 5 as a whole, but I mean, Anyone's Legend putting up such a good fight in game number 2.
Yeah, and I've been really impressed with AL's ability to just basically pull the trigger very quickly in team fights. Because Tarzan, there was a great fight that they had in the top side of the map. I think it was around Herald. Oh, no, it was around Grubs, actually. And, I mean, he realized, it was like, wait a minute, I can continue this fight, or I can just play it safe and go for Grubs. He's going to continue the fight, and he got a lot off that. And then the same can be said around the next top side objective, where I just think that they've been willing to take fights, willing to overload their team to be able to take a 5v5. And if Weibo is not there, and at times Breathe wasn't there to be able to take those fights, then AL will go in. And I think that the biggest beneficiary was Hope. Who do you think is player of the game on this one?
Has to be Hope. I think there is a world where you could give it to Shanks, but I think Hope, the way he played those team fights, was fantastic.
Yeah.
But my heart says Flandre. Like my heart just thinks, please give it to the tank Jayce. That was hilarious to watch. And I think fun. I now know the one thing I don't like about Fearless is we're not going to be able to see tank Jayce again. That's done.
True.
That's done. Previously, if you think back to some of the crazy picks that have ever happened in League of Legends, like Misfortune support, you know, we could see it a few times, or force bans. It's done. You're not going to see it anymore, Raz. Gotta wait till the next series.
You didn't have to do that. You didn't have to point that out.
But this was the first triple kill from Shanks, where he was able to get into the back line underneath the outer turret in the mid lane. Hope was able to dive in and get one for himself as well. And it just felt like every fight, bar the last 2 before the end, Shanks was able to get really good positions and eliminate some of the key players on Weibo's side.
Yeah.
But Hope just felt like a rock, and he has for both games so far. He just felt like such a stable AD carry.
You're right, he has. And I think a lot of these team fights have been kind of a good example of that. In the last series that he had, I thought his positioning in team fights, especially on the Ashe, was incredible. And then coming into this game, that dragon fight really felt like it was another perfect example of it. Of course, he gets picked out here being a little too aggressive, but in that dragon fight, I mean, he was able to take Xiaohu out almost immediately and allowed his team at Anyone's Legend to be able to pick up and clean up the rest of that fight. That triple kill, I think, was only possible from Shanks because of how Hope opened up the fight. Now, the rest of this game was a little funny. So, like, this one was hilarious. And then the fact that Flandre was punted out, and even though Ezreal left, they still felt like they can take Baron. And Flandre recognized that. He's still sitting on a control ward, and so he's able to open up on Xiaohu almost immediately with Hope. And you called it out in the game. It takes so long for them to kill Jayce. And the healing that he has there during the fight is just obnoxious. So it almost feels like you have to deal with them. But without Ahri ultimate, their goal was, of course, to take down Hope, who was so strong at that point. They didn't really have the damage to get past the Jayce, so that sucked.
I think this was where it started to, these last few fights were where it started to feel like, you know, Weibo had something going for them. And there was the two fights where Shanks dove into the back lines and was obliterated, either taking out a tank or a support, so didn't really get much going for himself. In this one, this is where Weibo could have really turned it around, but it just seems like Flandre was able to catch out Xiaohu, and that was it. From there, Shanks got this solo kill into light, and the game was over.
Yeah, you said it was anticlimactic. I'd say it's typical of AD carry players just getting picked off in the late game. That just happens. You're like, okay, well, at least he lived for so long up until that point. I think AL didn't really care with how cautious they, you know, I said they should play it cautious. Obviously, they were diving past tier 2, like the Nexus turrets and all that. They were like up 9k. They didn't really feel like they could lose that game. So I think it's an easy adjustment for